Well, I was not expecting to do another video tonight. This is a wild story that the Padres are involved in. This was released earlier tonight. MLB finds a prospect linked to the Padres who falsified their age. And you can see here MLB investigation recently found a top teenage prospect in the Dominican Republic who had verbally agreed to sign with the Padres, falsified his paperwork, and is 5 years older than previously believed, resulting in the agreement being withdrawn, sources told ESPN. The teenager, who assumed the name Cesar Altagracia, verbally agreed to sign with the Padres for about $4 million, a substantial bonus that signified he was considered one of the top international prospects in his class. The transaction would have become official in January 2027 once Altagracia became eligible to sign as a 16-year-old international free agent. So I think of someone like Ethan Salas, who is obviously really young, Leo DeVry, who's young, when the Padres signed those guys. And they probably verbally agreed with those guys a while before they could actually sign. And it does note that these teams, when they verbally agree, they go end up kind of hiding those players so they're not discovered by other teams. And they go work out. So look here, deals were struck with players as young as 12 or 13 years old, at which point those players train at the team's academy in the country out of sight from rival evaluators until signing day. It kind of reminds me of like maybe a recruit or something in other sports. MLB has declined comment. Padres declined comment. The Dominican Baseball Federation is investigating the matter as well. So this is an investigation the Padres are technically involved in. Now, and I'll read this here, the 14-year-old part. MLB discovered he is 19 years old, not 14, as his documents stated. The teenager represented the Dominican Republic at the 2022 Under-12 Baseball World Cup and at the Under-15 Pan American Championships this summer under the false identity. This is like the I am 12 stuff. I tweeted that out when I saw this because that's immediately what I thought of from that movie where the guy's clearly not, he's a freaking adult. It's not that egregious, obviously, but he pays the umpire I am 12 and has slips some dollar bills under that ID, which is just a piece of paper from what was it, Benchwarmers? I think that was the movie. But yeah, I immediately thought of that because this is a 5-year age difference that this guy and his team, maybe his family, whoever this is, his documents were totally false. I couldn't even imagine doing that. But if you're in those people's positions, and I don't think it doesn't seem like this is the first time that this happened, baseball or nothing, we're fortunate, those that live here in America, and I know I'm fortunate living here in San Diego and my upbringing, and probably some of you as well that are watching this. But there are some people that are not as, and to make it big, the way to make it big for them is to go play Major League Baseball. And obviously, the DR, what do we first think of? Baseball and the talent that comes out of that place, right? Out of that country. So I understand a little bit while, like, hey, you have this opportunity. A team like the Padres are showing interest in you. You want to get that money quicker, sooner rather than later, and you do it. Now, maybe it's not this guy, this kid that is saying this. Maybe, again, it was his team that maybe was like behind his back in the documents, put him at a different age. Maybe this guy was in on he played, yeah, he had to have been in on it because he played in the U12 and the U15. 2022 U12, U15 this summer. Like, so what, he doesn't know that he's 19 years old and he thinks he's 14? So I guess it can't be his team that's doing it behind his back. Like, yeah, everyone has to be involved here. But that's when your big talent is baseball and you want to make it big, and that team around him probably wants him to make it big because then they profit off of it as well. They get a bunch of money from it, or at least they get to enjoy that player's lifestyle and be around that player if he does make it big, right? So um, that's sometimes the situations that some of these players get put into or agree to put themselves into, I guess, and they're willing to take that risk. I saw in the article that the suspension could be for a year. Um, it is not uncommon for teams to pull prearranged deals weeks before players would sign them, either because a prospect did not develop as expected or because turnover in the team's front office altered philosophies. The signing of amateur players has fueled an entire economy rife with corruption. The last year has seen an uptick in high profile players showcasing themselves with falsified birth certificates to present themselves as much as 5 years younger. Because teams, they like younger players, obviously, more time to develop. Um, Many of those players have had their bonuses pulled after investigations uncovered the information. But here in this article, the deal is off. The agreement is withdrawn. So the Padres, it seems like the Padres, now they're not commenting, but I assume once they learn this, they're like, yeah, we're out of this. We're not dealing with this. We don't want to be involved. It's not our fault. That's what the document said. I looked up, and you can look up this person's name on YouTube, and I did see one video, and I think that's who he looks like. The name is Caesar, the first name. Who knows if that's his actual name? It probably isn't, I wouldn't think. But yeah, January 2027 is when he would be 16. Eligible to sign as a 16-year-old, because January is when that year's international window would open. Crazy. But I was initially thinking, like, is Preller going to get suspended here? Because this really cannot happen. Preller can't get suspended with this offseason. He's already been suspended, by the way. Like, let's not forget about that. But yeah, we need AJ. This guy was one of the best executives of the year this past season. With the work that he did with this roster and the circumstances that he had to face and get through. So a great job from him. And so, when I reread the article and I think about it more, and yes, people pointed it out to me on social media about how, yeah, it's the other side, the player's side, their team, it seems like. They're lying. They were lying. It's not the Padres' fault here. So I don't think that anything's going to come the Padres' way other than they don't get this player. But if I'm the Padres, I wouldn't want this player because they're lying about their age. They're saying you know, they're 14 when they're 19. That's crazy. But at the same time, it kind of isn't crazy. But let me know your thoughts. The good news, when I initially saw this, because it didn't say the name, I just saw the headline that popped up on my phone. MLB finds prospect linked to it was, I forget exactly what it said, but it didn't say this exact headline. It said MLB finds top Padres prospect, international prospect, something like that. Falsified age. And I was like, no way. This isn't Leo DeVry, is it? Because that would be terrible. Like, he's viewed as the shortstop of the future. I mean, I just talked about him on that last video about, Ha-Seong Kim and him maybe not being a Padre long term. So when I read this article and I was like, okay, it's not Leo DeVry. Like, thank goodness. It's not Ethan Salas. It's nothing like that. It's someone that I've never heard of. All right. Exhale. So you can give your thoughts on this. Obviously, the full story, I'll link it actually in the description so you can go read that for yourself. But yeah, I just wanted to go over this and give any thoughts that I had on this, because that's a crazy story.